Hi, welcome to Pennsylvania Newsmakers, and as always, thanks for watching. Well, you think your documents are safe, your Social Security number is safe, you do everything you should, you shred documents with personal information on, you watch those credit cards, guess what? Within minutes, your Social Security number can be available. Get on that computer and do it. We got a big report here that's going to talk about ID theft, how your good name is at risk. And then we'll have the folks from the Credit Union Association come on and tell you what to do further to protect yourself against Internet fraud. This is a program you don't want to miss, and you won't after these words.
This is Pennsylvania Newsmakers, a fast-paced, unrehearsed weekly discussion with and about the leaders who shape your world. And now, here's your host, Terry Madonna.
Hi, welcome back to the program. Well, I set this up. I'm going to tell you, when Tom Murse, who's sitting across from me, he's a reporter with the Intelligencer Journal, Lancaster New Era, combined newspaper, Lancaster Newspapers, broke this story. I could not believe it. Tom Murse, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Terry. It's good to be here.
All right, I want to ask you something. Within minutes, and you're going to say seconds, you could literally get the Social Security number, and you did. For who? Tell us for who you got Social Security numbers
Well, we
for.
found Social Security numbers for a lot of our state lawmakers in Lancaster County, most of our county judges, a state Supreme Court judge.
A state Supreme Court judge. Are you listening? Go ahead.
CEOs, a rock star, TV personalities, my bosses.
And he's still here, and he got his boss's Social Security number. Go ahead.
Right. What we wanted to do is answer the question, how easy is it to find your Social Security number in a public record? So we set out with just 5 samples, 5 names of people, a school superintendent, a TV personality, a politician, etc. And it turned out to be fairly easy. So we expanded that number to 50 and found all of them.
Now, listen, we've had all this attention paid to credit card, and our friends from the Credit Union Association are going to come on. Guard the credit cards, do all that. But literally, through these public documents, I'll put it that way, you can get online and get these Social Security numbers. How did you do that? Talk a little bit about that.
Well, what I did was I went to our county website, and I used search for records that are recorded through our Recorder of Deeds office. These are public records, and you can type in a name of anybody. And if that person recorded a mortgage, bought or sold property at any point in the last couple of decades, their names would pop up, and the documents would be right beside them. You can download them.
Social Security number in them?
Well, not all of them. Probably 5 to 10% of them. There are some things you have to look for. Banks in the late 80s and the early 90s decided that asking for Social Security numbers along with your signature was a good idea. And in certain years, yes, Social Security numbers are on those records.
But you found this, amazing. The President Judge of the Court of Common Pleas in Lancaster, a state Supreme Court Justice, several legislators, lawmakers in Harrisburg, you came up with their Social Security numbers, correct?
Correct.
And as we sit here and talk about this right now, there is no law in this state that would allow, let's say, a prothonotary, if it's a court record or a recorder of deeds, or whoever it maintains these records, to cross out or to strike out those Social Security numbers. Am I right about that?
That's right. Their job is to simply maintain records that are given to them. So if I go to the Recorder of Deeds office with my mortgage and submit it to them, whatever's on there, whether it's my Social Security number, my bank account number, whatever, their job is to record that document, not go through it with a black pen and start Xing stuff out.
Yeah, because they're just keepers of the record, so to speak, right? They're not making decisions about what to include or not to include. So then let me follow it up. So we permit these public records with Social Security numbers to be maintained.
Right.
And they are public documents, is that correct?
Correct.
Public documents.
That's right.
So how do we get that changed? What would it take to change that? Is it a state law? Is it a federal law?
Well, a lot of the Social Security numbers we found were in court-related documents. We're talking about mortgages. The Recorder of Deeds, this is sort of a gray area, but the Recorder of Deeds office could be considered a court office and its records, judicial records. Criminal criminal charging documents, tax liens, both federal and state. Now, what's going on now is the AOPC, the Administrative Office of Pennsylvania Courts, has a new policy proposal that's being reviewed by the state Supreme Court.
Right.
And as part of that proposal, the AOPC would make it, impossible to release records with SS numbers on them. They'd either redact them on the document and then use the SS number on a cover sheet that wouldn't be public.
Yeah, but what's amazing about this, here we are in 2009, and we've had all these discussions about credit card fraud, and how important, in case you've been in a cave and you don't know this, how important is your Social Security number to this? I mean, is it the lock, open the key?
Yeah, it's been called, it's the key to unlocking, bank accounts, credit card accounts, etc. And I should explain why we took on this project, and this is important. There is a case in Lancaster County in which 2 men were charged by federal authorities with stealing the identities of about 100 people. And what they did was they were searching the internet for people who had been charged and convicted with DUI. So what they would do is they'd go down to the courthouse. They'd ask for the records of so-and-so at the clerk of court's office, and they'd make copies. And on all these documents are SS numbers. They went home. They applied for bank accounts and loans, and I think they made off with about $27,000 worth of money.
What a story! All right, we're going to go to break. When we come back, I have a few more questions for Tom Murse. ID theft, your good name at risk. It was October 14th. I presume you can get this online. We'll talk to Tom about that following these words. What a story! Back in a moment.
This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is sponsored by Citizens to Protect PA Jobs. When businesses add jobs, people prosper. This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is presented by PAConstructionJobs.com. For more information about rewarding careers in the highway construction industry, visit PAConstructionJobs.com. And by the Pennsylvania Manufacturers Association. Business in Pennsylvania is our business.
Hi, welcome back. Well, Tom Murse, who's a reporter with the Lancaster Newspapers, is in the house. We're chatting about another aspect of Internet fraud that, quite frankly, has stunned a lot of people, the ease with which Social Security numbers can be obtained from what I'll call public documents. We've been into that. Tom, let's talk about a couple other aspects of this. First of all, what can people do to protect themselves?
Well, the first thing and probably the easiest thing that they can do is to be very cautious about who they're giving their SS numbers out to. There's the Federal Privacy Act of 1974, Section 7, says that your federal, state, and local governments, agencies cannot deny you benefits or services if you refuse to give them your Social Security number. So that's the first thing you can do.
Yeah, so in other words, if you go and apply for some state program or county program and they say, I need your Social Security number, you say, no, I'm not giving it to you. They can't say, well, we're not giving you the service that you've applied for. Is that basically?
According to this act, yes.
All right, now let's go to another aspect of it. Well, let's stay on the law for a minute.
Sure.
In our state, in the state of Pennsylvania, is there anything going on in the legislature which would prevent or deny or disallow the use of Social Security numbers on all these public documents, if I'm stating this correctly?
Yeah, there are a couple of things going on. Number one is there is a bill before the State House from John Payne that would prohibit the state from asking anybody for more than the last 4 digits of their Social Security number. The second thing is the new Right to Know Act. There is a exemption to in that act to public records that have Social Security numbers on them. Records holders, your Register of Wills,
right.
Not your Parliamentarian's office, but non-court related agencies can withhold those records. It doesn't say they have to withhold them. It says that they can withhold them.
I guess what look, you've delved into this in great detail. By the way, full disclosure here, my wife had her identity stolen, and she was the lead in this story, and has nothing to do with, I didn't even realize when they got my wife's Social Security number out of state, that in state we had all this, the problems that Tom has been reporting on, so I wanted to get that out. But the other point is that, here's what I don't understand. why can't we find another way to make sure we got the person identified, you got it, without using a record as sensitive as Social Security? Now, I know that's a, you know...
Well, a lot of people agree with you, and they say, even open records advocates say that there's no reason to be giving out Social Security numbers.
So in other words, the open records folks, and there's a lot of people who, and I know as a reporter, I'm sure I know where you stand on the issue of access to public documents, and we all would, and we all have a right to those, or should have a right to them, with certain limits. But the personal information should not be left out. Is that, I mean, should not be given out.
Correct.
And particularly when you can just go and in some cases get them online and get them pretty easily.
Right.
All right. Well, let's before I let you go, I want to. There are a whole bunch of ways that we can protect ourselves. You had a whole bunch of them in here. Yeah. Go ahead. Just run through a couple of them.
We mentioned not giving your SS number out, number one, but number two is, be very aware of where your Social Security number might be. Go to your county website, see what records they're putting online. Wow. And if you search through your Recorder of Deeds office, and if you do find your Social Security number, go to your recorder and say, look, please redact my number from the online image.
Right.
Now, they can't redact it from the hard copy on file at the courthouse, but they can certainly
get rid of it. And that's what takes the law, to get it rid of, to make sure that could be redacted in the official document. We'd have to change state law, correct?
Or the courts have to adjust their policies to say we're not... Yeah.
On the court-related documents.
On the court-related documents, right.
All right. Well, I want to tell you, I mean, I think we're going to bring the folks from the Credit Union Association. We're going to get back into this credit union or credit card aspect of fraud. So I think the big thing that we want to leave folks with is there's another dimension to ID theft that has not gotten a lot of attention. Agreed?
Agreed.
And this report, this analysis, this investigation you did, illustrates that we've only begun to turn the page on what could be a larger and more comprehensive way in which folks can get Social Security numbers and use it. Go ahead.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, county governments are there's a great push to put records online, to create these virtual courthouses, because it cuts down on their they don't have to have as many staff looking stuff up for the public, so they're putting a lot of it online.
Yep. All right, before you go, do you have the website there that they could get your column on, or if you don't, it's okay. Do you remember?
They can search our website, lancasteronline.com, under identity theft and come up with it.
You got that? lancasteronline.com, search for identity theft, and that'll take care of it.
Sure.
All right, I want to tell you, a great piece of investigation by Tom Murse. All right, we all haven't done enough. We're going to get into the credit card aspect of it and some other areas of concern for identity theft following these words.
This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is brought to you by Pennsylvania Credit Union Association. Pennsylvania Credit Unions, where people are worth more than money. To find a credit union that is right for you, check out ibelong.org. And by the Energy Association of Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania's energy information source. This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is presented by the State System of Higher Education. 14 state-owned universities. The state system is the largest provider of higher education in Pennsylvania. And by the Hospital and Health System Association of Pennsylvania, working towards a healthy Pennsylvania.
Hi, welcome back. Well, joining me, as often is the case, is Mike Wishnow. He's a senior VP with the PA Credit Union Association, and his partner, Bob Marquette. He's the CEO of the Members First Federal Credit Union, frequent guests on our program. Well, guys, look, I know maybe I'm hopelessly naive. We have been talking about an aspect of credit card, internet fraud, mainly the credit card, and we're going to come to this because we're going to repeat our cautions about, your cautions about, my cautions. But that was pretty intriguing little piece there, wasn't it?
It sure was. I was amazed that that kind of information is readily available.
Yeah, I mean, and particularly when we could pass a state law that would, make it tougher for thieves to get into our pockets through the internet, right, Michael?
Well, yeah, I mean, the problem is they're thieves, and you know,
that's true.
You can pass a state law, and they'll find another way to get it.
Well, but we're going to make it difficult for them, right?
There you go.
All right. Well, look, let's go back to the thing that we've talked about intermittently over the years, and that is about what people need to do to protect themselves with their freaking credit cards. Let's start first of all with the fact that we use debit and credit cards more frequently than ever before, correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The numbers are astounding. About 60% of purchases today are made by plastics. So consumers are more dependent than ever to have access to their funds through their plastic card, whether it be debit, credit, or ATM cards. And anytime they're confronted with a situation where they think they're going to be denied access to their funds because they carry less cash with them, they get a little anxious, and as a result, they lower their guards, lower their defenses, and they make some dumb choices by providing information that they think they need to continue that access.
Yeah. I want to talk about the types of credit card fraud, but before I do, I mean, there is something that I've noticed, and that is, you know, it's a civil crime. You know, if somebody robs you of your credit and takes, you know, a couple $1,000s, let's say, out of a credit card. And I noticed that a lot of stores and folks who supply services, because it's so common and so expensive, are often not very big on prosecuting people for it. So if you don't charge a lot of money, you know, you have 5 or 6 cards and you've stolen somebody's identity, $500 or $600 here, you know, it's something. And I know it's tough for the stores and the people. You know, it costs them thousands to get back hundreds. What?
Yeah, but
is that
part of it
problem?
also is the store isn't the one that's taking the hit. It's the financial institution.
Oh, yeah, you guys are taking the hit. So you want them, you're trying to encourage them to go after the fraud, right?
Well, sure, or I mean, the financial institution can go after the fraud, but you're right. More often than not, it's more resources than it's worth. Isn't that right, Bob?
Absolutely. But we always work with the law enforcement authorities in our area to try to get them to pursue
to go after
filing
the criminal piece.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough aspect because it's so frequent now, and it isn't an easy thing to catch, right? It's difficult to catch. And then often it's about a couple $1,000s. Now, I know cumulatively it's a large. I'm trying to get to the point where I'm trying to sense how urgent it is as a problem. I mean, for law enforcement and for folks who, you know, end up saying, well, if I give out 100 credit cards, let's say some department, I give out 100 credit cards, and 98 of them are good, and 2 of them are fraudulent. And so we lose $5,000, but we just made $100,000. Is it in their interest just to say, who cares about the 2 bad cards, you know, and I mean, it seems to me that that's an endemic problem with this kind of fraud. Maybe I'm wrong.
I think to a certain degree there's the cost of doing business angle.
Yeah.
But I think also that financial institutions, and I can only really speak for our credit unions, understand that even though it doesn't cost the member any dollars, it costs them a heck of a lot of time and a heck of a lot of aggravation.
Yeah.
Well, indirectly, it does cost the consumer something.
Well, sure, because it's going to jack the prices up of everything. Yeah,
absolutely.
But I just wanted to bring that point out. All right, look, let's talk about the types of credit card fraud. Let's go through these again. We've talked about these before, but this whole show, no, go ahead. The whole show's going to this subject. Go ahead.
Well,
someone start.
Yeah. You know, stolen card is probably number one. Either stolen card or stolen number. Once they have the number, it's much, much easier than going through the whole identity theft process. Would you agree, Bob?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what the fraudsters are after. They're after getting those numbers so that they can duplicate those cards and perpetrate those fraudulent transactions. And there's many ways for them to try to get the number, and that's the key here.
Yeah, and usually we're going to run to a break, but we talked about this before. If you get somebody's Social Security number and you have who cares really about the address? It's, you know, that's not. It's the Social Security number that is that the key. All right, they're telling me we're going to break. We'll be back after these words.
This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is presented by Highmark Blue Shield, changing the way health plans work for business with a variety of plan options for employers and more choices for employees. Information is available at highmark.com. Have a greater hand in your company's health. And by the Pennsylvania Healthcare Association, the future of long-term care. This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is presented by Penn Future, where we believe that every environmental victory grows the economy, and by the Pennsylvania Cyber Charter School, bringing educational innovation and freedom to the children of Pennsylvania.
All right, gentlemen, steps consumers can take to protect themselves. What here we are. What should people do? Let's go through the list.
First of all, they should never give out their credit card information unless they initiated the transaction, no matter what.
All right, so online somebody send me your credit, no,
Don't
right?
do it.
Right, no.
Right.
All right, what else, Mike?
Especially if there's a prize involved, we may say that, or somebody has money. The other thing is periodically check your credit reports and do it for free. You can go to annualcreditreport.com. It won't cost you anything. At least once a year, make sure that everything is accurate. If you start seeing stuff on there that you did not initiate, those are all major red flags.
Yeah. You also should pay attention to your statements that you get from your credit card companies and your checking account for ATM or debit card transactions, and make sure that all those transactions are legitimate. They are yours.
So in other words, when you get that statement, to make sure, well, I was at this service station or at this convenience and I took out 20, or make sure that all of it is in line with what actually occurred. Is that what you guys are saying?
And more people are moving from statements to online. Do it online. You get it that much quicker.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, we got about 50 seconds. If you get credit card, if you know you're the victim, what do? What should people do? You're a victim.
You should contact your financial institution immediately.
Immediately.
And most times what we do, is we'll shut down that credit card. We'll alert our other members the fact that a fraud is being perpetrated. We'll take all kinds of steps to work with authorities. We'll try to shut down any fraudulent telephone numbers that have been established by the scamsters, but contact your financial institution.
All right, we'll keep up the good work. I mean, we're going to keep doing this. This is too important to let go. All right, we'll see you next week for another edition of Pennsylvania Newsmakers, and as always, you stay well.